There are so many more stories like that Ian could tell us, but I loved the surf air, but I love the determination with which they were going to say the deliberate planning to create a world-class venue. How are we going to ramp up to all the people we need? How are we going to manage them? How are we going to get little Ellen Fanning and all her 18-year-old friends from the suburbs of Maruka and wherever and turn them into a cracking front of house community that actually delivers for audience members? We're going to now hear from Rachel Healy, the qpac Chief Executive. As she comes to the stage, I've just got a little story to tell you about her. She is new to qpac, but has adored immersing herself in the history of the place. She came over to chat to me on ABC Radio 612 recently and had terrific stories about the cloakroom. This is an example of the show must go on, we deal with anything front of house. It's been a great education for me in my life to have done that. Once somebody tried to cloak a snake, but my favourite, and I think Rachel's as well, was somebody who wanted to cloak a baby on the basis that they were asleep and likely to stay that way and would be really no trouble at all. And we cope with all of it. Please welcome Rachel Healy, who's going to take us through the 50th anniversary.
Thank you, Ellen. Yes, I think I may have been guilty of that as a very young mother as well. It's really thrilling to see you all here today to celebrate qpac's 40th birthday. I also acknowledge the Yagara and Turrbal people and elders from all nations, past and present. I acknowledge Sally Ann Atkinson, AO, former Lord Mayor of Brisbane, qpac Chair, Professor Peter Coldrake, AO, former Arts Minister Ian Walker, former Arts Minister the Honourable Matt Foley, patron of qpac's foundation, Mrs Gina Fairfax, AC, Mr Tim Fairfax, AC, Mrs Jenny Gould, Mr Philip Bacon, AO, Ms Kirsten Herring, PSM, former Chief Executive John Kotsis, AM, qpac board members, past and present, members of our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Advisory Group, current staff, former staff, audience members and friends one and all. What a milestone this is for us and our community. 40 years, a biblical span, long enough to wander in the desert, long enough to raise a child to middle age, long enough for a city, this city, to reinvent itself, and reinvent it has. When we look back at that fabulous video from 1985, Brisbane was still under Joe. The smell of tear gas at Spring Hill, the sound of batons on protesters, and a place with a reputation for being perfectly satisfied with rugby league, 4X lager and sweating in the tropics. But culture, that was something you were supposed to catch in Melbourne like a connecting flight. And yet somehow, amid all that, Brisbane built itself the Queensland Performing Arts Centre. Against the odds, against its reputation, against the very grain of its political history. This improbable palace of music and theatre and dance was built as if to declare we are not just a way station between Sydney and Cairns. We are a city of stories, and those stories will be told here. That Brisbane, once dismissed as a cultural backwater, could become a place where the arts are not an afterthought, but a heartbeat. More than a building, more than even 40 years of performance, it is proof that a city can change its destiny through imagination. The 1985 video of the opening performances was just the beginning. The shows kept coming, and the audiences kept arriving. In our first 2 decades, around 10 million people had attended qpac since its opening. In the 20 years that followed, we doubled that figure, welcoming more than 20 million in the same period. We've sold more than 30 million tickets and hosted more than 36,000 performances. Think of it, a child who came here in 1985 for the Pirates of Penzance might have brought their own child in 2005 to the Lion King, and today that child may be bringing their child to the Out of the Box Festival. 40 years is not an abstraction, it is 3 generations of Queenslanders who now know what it is to sit in a darkened theatre and wait for the lights to rise. Over these 40 years, every kind of story has passed through these stages. The great imported ones, yes, Les Miserables and Phantom and the endless parade of Broadway's bestsellers, but also the local ones, the stories of this place and its people and its first people. Trent Dalton's Love Stories and Boy Swallows Universe, Shake and Stir and its extraordinary repertoire, Camerata, Ensemble Q. This was the birthplace also of Bangarra. Here on these stages, the myth of Queensland as a cultural desert is firmly buried. When I hear Tony Gould, our founding chief executive, talk about QPAC being for more than just Brisbane, that it is for all of Queensland, I'm so proud to say that we continue that legacy today through increasing connections and events into the regions, growing our digital stage platform, and from 2026, a year-round curriculum-linked education program that connects to primary and secondary schools across the whole state. Today, we honour the architects and the boards, the premiers who cut the ribbons, the impresarios who took the risks, and our many partners and supporters over the years. In particular, I would like to acknowledge our current corporate and philanthropic partners, especially our principal partners Hyundai and Minter Ellison, and to our workers and audiences. When architect Robin Gibson talks about QPAC being the catalyst that brings artists, arts and the general public together, I'm reminded that of the 4 state cultural institutions in this precinct, QPAC is the only one that is not object-based. Our central purpose lies not in the painting, the book or the artefact, but in humans collaborating in support of human creative imagination, the transient, ephemeral collusion between writer, performer, stagehand and audience, and everyone who sits behind them, on the stage and in the pit, in the wings, the box office, the bar, the administration, marketing, IT, programming and finance. All give the place its soul and keep the whole improbable show on the road. We thank you. And to the audiences and community who year after year filled these halls, watched online and said, yes, this belongs to us, we thank you. As we celebrate these last 40 years, the story continues and we cannot wait to share QPAC's next chapter with the fast approaching opening of our 5th theatre, the Glasshouse Theatre, in just a few months' time. Unlike in 1985, we won't be celebrating by releasing a pigeon for every day of its construction. The thousands we would have to release would turn South Bank into a scene from Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. But there will be a massive celebration and an opportunity for the public to share in our brand new theatre in the not too distant future. But for now, our anniversary continues, and today we are delighted to be joined by QPAC's Chamber Choir, one of our longest running community choral programs. But first, some very special birthday messages from just some of the artists who have entertained us at QPAC over the recent past.